Hello and welcome to my show, Fat 50 and Anorexic. My name is Lois and I'm the host. I will be doing a regular daily vlog and only posting a few of those vlogs for you guys to share with me. It's a pretty personal thing I'm trying to go through doing daily vlogs, and not all of them I want really to share, but the ones I think that might be helpful for others I'm addressing as though you're my friend. So if it sounds like I'm a little familiar, it's just because I'm pretending you're friends out there of mine and that I'm talking to you about something we share in common. So I hope that's how you feel when you're here, and that I don't ever appear pretentious or that I know anything that I only know in my personal experience. I will share sometimes things that I see or hear in the groups that I'm in through the medical system, like IOPs, intense outpatient program groups, or as my health improves, if I go into a different type of group where I'm a lesser care now, as being seen 3 times a week for 3 hours a day, I'm now only once a week for an hour and a half. So that's easing me out of almost daily therapy and getting me back into better behaviors, and I'm already slipping again. So I've had this for over 45 years, this eating disorder, and I've gone up and down with my weight through the years, by extremes usually, and I've gotten pretty skinny. I've gotten pretty thin, and I don't have any intention of showing those pictures here. I put that in my introduction. So if you haven't seen the introduction, I hope you'll check it out. I give you a little bit more information about me and what my goal is with this channel and this show. And I say show because my husband says, love your show to me all the time. He's said that to me since we started dating. So I kind of think of what I'm presenting to you as my showing a side of myself I've never shared with anybody, really. It's honestly, it's easier to do it this way than it is in front of face to face. I hope you'll be kind to me. I would be kind to you. I have social anxiety anyway that developed out of COVID. Very strange, but I've always had presenter type, management type positions, or in an office, I was the person that, if I wasn't at one of those positions, I was a person that was part of hiring. I was just always exposed to the public and our clients or customers or what have you. That's because I'm outgoing, I'm outspoken. And here I am 4 years deep into, after COVID, having social anxiety, and I don't like groups at all. I don't like conversations with new people. They make me uncomfortable, when yet it's what has always energized me. I can get energized and then be done and like to go be alone, but I find that I've changed. So I don't know if that's age, if it's me coming through menopause, because my blood work now says that I'm done with that. So now I've got the postmenopause balance out that I think is going to be much easier to handle than the last 10 years have been. And since my mom died when I was 15 in a car accident, a drunk driver hit her. She died on impact. I had a lot of things I never asked her that I wasn't old enough to think to ask her or to watch her go through. She was 47 when she died. So I think she was, from what I heard my dad say in conversations about my mother after she passed away in those years, that she was starting menopause symptoms already, and he thought she was going to have a hard time of it. Mine just lasted a long time. I had horrible hot flashes, and when you have gastroparesis, which is the paralyzation of the stomach, it's like a muscle having a Charlie horse, and it just doesn't, churn and work, and it doesn't help the acids to break down your food. Then the food just sits in there, and it can rot. It can cause more gas, bloating, because even though there's acid in there, it's not moving to churn the food down. So I've learned that what I eat is very important in stopping my pain and my suffering. Gastroparesis and a slow colon are probably the two. My stomach, when I had gastritis and my stomach was all red, they call it velvet stomach. I had esophagitis 3, stage 3, and there's only 4 stages. I mean, I was in a bad way when I finally got diagnosed with anorexia, and I had told them I'd been diagnosed with this years ago, but I hadn't been in treatment for years, so they just started over with me. So it didn't surprise me when they, well, yeah, you have anorexia. Yeah, I know. Anyway, they have to do what they have to do. So thank God it got me on the right thing. Now I have a cardiologist, gastroenterologist, I have a psychiatrist, a counselor that I see every week, psychiatrist I see every three months, unless I need to see them more, which I've been doing since January. I was hospitalized in January for my blood counts were really bad and my heart was skyrocketing and I wasn't eating at all. So they hospitalized me to get me back on a feeding regimen. And I only ate half of whatever they presented me with, but that's what I was told I had to eat just to not get the feeding tube. So that's what I did. And they let me go after a week and pretty much told me, you need to go into residential care where you can really get down into what's going on, because your habits have been there for so long. It's not like a young woman who's only been doing this for 2 years or 4 years or something. You've been doing it for over 40 years. And they discovered that when they discovered that only a long-time anorexic has pads in their face and their head be gone. And they're not here on the sides of my temples, and they're gone under my eyes. They're normal fat beds that separate the skin from the skull. And she said that's why as you start to lose weight, you probably really hollow out around your eyes. And I said, I do. And she said, that's only going to make it look worse, that you're losing fat on your head. And since you can lose it on your head, on the outside, why can't your brain shrink? It can. Your brain can absolutely shrink. And these are the things I never knew when I was younger, or I might have gotten more serious help. So if you're a younger person that stopped by, and that means to me under 50, welcome. I'm glad you're here. The things I have to say are for any anorexic or bulimic or anywhere in between with disordered eating. An ED can be a lot of things, as I have recently learned, and not just the top two, which are bulimia and anorexia. And out of those two, anorexia is more deadly. But out of all of the eating disorders, the suicide rate is very high. It is a mental illness, which is really hard for me to wrap my head around, because I see that as a weakness. And I think that's part of the stigma that everyone's trying to get over right now is back the truck up. I want to think differently, just like we've learned to accept gays and lesbians and their relationships, and we've learned to embrace the LGBTQ groups. I'm mumbling through that, I'm sorry. And try and embrace and include and love. That's all part of it. It's got to extend out that far. So for the books that I want to show you today, I want to feature some books today that I am in love with. The first book, and these two books are books about eating disorders, and more specifically, one is geared just towards a woman's story of her struggle with and success with anorexia. And by success, I mean being in remission from it. Because if you go through another stressful situation, this is going to be a knee-jerk action for you if you've taught your body to do this when you are reacting to stress. PTSD, knee-jerk reaction, is to stop eating or to binge eat and throw up. It happens before you realize it's going to happen. And you have to say, oh my God, just like the alcoholic that's taken his first drink, shit, am I going to do this to myself? Or am I going to backtrack and stop my behavior? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as Mel Robbins says. I love her for this. She's changed my life when I use this with my illness. Re-enter a new thought and try and move forward with that new thought, because our brains are sequential. They move forward. And when you stop and count backwards just enough, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, introduce the thought that you want and move forward with action on that thought. And it's so much easier to do than to just talk your way through it. No, wait a minute. I don't want to think that way. It's easy to stop, sequentially back up, and then introduce your new thought. So for the books, the first book is, let's see, it's The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. And what I have for you is the workbook that accompanies the book. The Body Keeps the Score. I listened to the audiobook, and then I ordered off of Amazon the workbook from Jeannie Reads, and it's wonderful. Let me see, where's my author? Jeannie Reads, G-E-N-I-E-R-E-A-D-S, Jeannie Reads. And it's the workbook for The Body Keeps the Score. It's wonderful. The brain, mind, body, and body in the healing of trauma. They address vets a lot and what they go through. And then they akin it to other things that happen to regular human beings, you know, in their childhood that can be PTSD oriented also. And same therapies can thereby be applied. And then the book gets into male and female, sometimes the different traumas that they go through. But yet trauma recovery is the same, unless, of course, it's a sexual trauma for either male or female. But a sexual trauma is handled differently. So we won't be discussing that at all, actually. The second book for eating disorder, this one is by... it is by, Crystal Wren. Is it Wren or Reen? R-E-N-N. With Marjorie Ingale. And they wrote the book Hungry. And this is a famous plus model now. And this is her story about getting into modeling when she was younger and letting modeling and the models teach her how to lose weight, and she became anorexic. And then the way she was treated and everything focused on beauty alone, she really absorbed a bad self-image. And even though she was skinny and beautiful, at some point she realized, and I'm not going to take away from the book, it's a great book, you should read it, that she was worth more than that, and she was able to come back, and now she's comfortably seated at a plus size model. But I think she's fabulous, and her story is terrific. So I highly recommend that. I got mine for $7.49 at a secondhand bookstore. Okay, so those are my two that have to do with eating disorders. What I have on these are the books that I've had on my nightstand. The book, The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, Coelho, C-O-E-L-H-O. Love this book. I listened to it again on audiobooks. I love audiobooks. I live way out in the country, and where I'm about 15 minutes from any town. So I listen to my audiobooks every time I go anywhere, and it helps me get through them. And then the ones that are lighter and not so heavy, like I don't listen to any of my eating disorder books before I go to bed. I listen to stories, and this was one that's just a thought-provoking book. And I'm not going to even tell you the story of it, but it'll be familiar because we've seen these characters portrayed in so many different ways through the years. And you'll see what I mean when you read the book. I just really want to encourage you to go to the library, go to a secondhand bookstore. If you can afford to buy the book right off the shelf, buy it. It's a great investment, and you'll want to highlight it. So get yourself a highlighter when you buy this book. I feel that way about all my books, actually. So any of these books are highlight worthy and noteworthy. Write in your books, highlight in your books. They're tools, they're for you, and pull them out and relook at things and look at where you go. I date a lot of what I do, so I can look back and say, oh, in 97, okay, I was going through bad times with my first husband, had 3 little girls, and I just immediately could kind of place myself where I was when I reread things I had highlighted then, where the next paragraph right now might be what I want to highlight. So I try and use different colors and years, and it's almost like having a personal diary in these. Like here's, you can see, I don't have the year written down, but good stuff. I mean, I might even want to make a video, a vlog about the things I have highlighted in these. Yeah, I bought this in 2017. Many days lately, I feel as though I am as happy as I have ever been unhappy. How wonderful is joy. All right, so last book I wanted to mention, actually it's the 1 Minute Bible. It's the NIV version. which is the New International Version of the Bible. And if they're in little 1 minute excerpts, so it's just a bite. So I do one of these bites. Sometimes I'm doing more heady reading and reading quotes and contemplating sometimes. And now this is fun. This is fun when I like to do with my grandkids. Just pick up this book, God's Little Instruction Book 2, More Inspirational Wisdom on How to Live a Happy and Fulfilled Life. This is another bite. It's just a little bite. See? Get little bites and it's filled with them. Just a little one a day. So this is more of a morning thing for me. And the 1 minute Bible is like a nighttime thing for me. And then the workbooks and things I do when I want to come in out of yard work. And I try and do that more during the day. Or if I'm like doing my audiobook on my way somewhere or my way home. And I keep the lighter stuff or the more contemplative prayer-oriented stuff at night. All right, that's all I've got for you today. On a recap, we talked about, a few different things. The books that I love, the ones that I have been reading in regards to my eating disorder. And I have a couple of audiobooks I'm going to mention probably in one of my videos coming up soon, because there's audiobooks has a wonderful selection, and some of them are free, which I think is wonderful because they're trying to support health and mental health. So with that being said, I hope you have a great day, and I'm not going to recap because for some reason my menopausal brain is just, or maybe it's because I'm not eating very well. I did eat today. I ate Coney dogs. We stopped out for lunch. That's going to be it for me today, though. But I did good. As that. I'm going to have to do better, especially if I go into residential. They're going to want me. I'm being told they're going to want me to eat 3 times a day and 2 snacks, and that panics me. That's a panic. That's a panic button for me. So we'll see. I've got to do this whole application for this scholarship to see if I'm actually chosen. But just to be nominated, I was thrilled that they thought it would be helpful and I would be worth that, because that's going to be expensive. And I will be forever grateful if I end up being the winner of this this application process. All right. Well, for me, it's Friday afternoon. I hope you guys, whenever you watch this, enjoy the rest of your day or your evening. And I'll see you next time.